Obviously, if you've been following me here, you already know my feelings about this AI boom and all this shitty technologies. I have been hearing people repeatedly compare generative AI and conversational AI to calculators. It's just like the stupidest comparison ever for a number of reasons. The most obvious being that if you type 2 plus 2 into a calculator, it will not sometimes say 7 or like just randomly redirect to something entirely unrelated. Not only is AI obviously hallucinating, but it's also acting as this sort of like surveillance capitalism that is compiling data on us and exploiting our vulnerabilities for the sake of generating profit. I have so many thoughts right now because we are at this weird threshold, I think, where things are about to change a lot. For those of you who are maybe out of the loop or don't really keep up too much with this AI stuff, there's a company that actually just launched a humanoid AI assistant called Neo. This company is called 1X. There's just like a number of really off-putting things about this particular product. I watched videos of people interfacing with this humanoid, and it's not even like good at assisting people. It's like terrible at folding clothes. It's like ass at putting dishes away. It's just a disaster. These humanoid robots are being deployed for $20,000 a piece. And if you purchase one, you're sort of like agreeing to a social contract where you're basically saying like, hey, I am comfortable with, compromising a certain degree of my privacy in exchange for convenience, right? And I think we are often making that decision. We are often bartering privacy for convenience with our smartphones and social media, and the list goes on. But this is uniquely different, I think at least, because apparently these bots are like not actually autonomous. They require that like a third party basically like remotes into the robot and can like see inside of your house. And this data that they're compiling, I guess it's like video footage or whatever, they're compiling through this behavior to train like their AI model or whatever so that these humanoids become more and more autonomous over time. So like, obviously this is really problematic, right? So now you maybe have like a third party individual who's seeing all of the things in your home and like seeing you and your family. And you could argue that like our smartphones and our computers and things already have that capability and already are spying on us. But there's a little bit of a difference, right? Like my smartphone doesn't have arms. My smartphone doesn't have the strength to like knock over a piece of furniture or like turn my stove on. This is happening, and in the same breath, people are comparing AI to calculators, and I'm like, no, like there are clear distinctions. Calculators aren't biased. Calculators don't harm demographics of individuals who are already disproportionately disadvantaged in our society. Like, calculators are not compiling all of the information about all of us and like housing it in a database and like gentrifying the internet and modifying the way that we communicate. And I could just like keep going on and on and on. I do not deny the potential good that could come from AI, but we were promised this technology would cure cancer. It would help with the climate crisis. It would help mitigate all of these really big concerns that we have in our society. And instead, we have like sex bots now. Like, do you guys see what's going on with the ChatGPT erotica stuff and like the Grok girlfriend? And of course, it always has to be a sexualized female or a sexualized feminized being in these instances of these like companion bots. I wrote an article like probably like 2 years ago about replica AI and some of the weird shit that I was seeing on like subreddits, people saying like, my girlfriend was lobotomized because like Replica did some like software update. I mean, this shit's fucking insane. But circling back to my point, it is often this sort of simulacra of femininity that is perpetuated by these chatbots, these companion AI tools that are marketed towards lonely people, and it exploits their vulnerability. I read something the other day that just hurt me. It hurt my soul. NPR published a story just a few days ago, actually, and it claims that 1 in 5 high schoolers has had a romantic relationship with an AI or knows someone who has. That's pretty weird. That's pretty weird, guys. And I don't say this to be judgmental or not compassionate to people who are maybe experiencing such a depth of loneliness or who struggle with social stuff. Like, I know that it can be challenging for some people, and maybe these chatbots and conversational AIs do serve some positive for some folks. But it is further dehumanizing us, right? We are not engaging with the complexity of human emotion. We are not confronting conflict. We're not confronting challenges and like differences in opinion and these things that really help us understand ourselves deeply. Because if you can't have a sounding board, you know, like somebody in your life who you care deeply about, who maybe has distinct opinions from you, you can't bounce those ideas back and forth and further understand your own opinions and like solidify them and explain why you feel the way you feel. The interesting thing too about offloading our emotions to chatbots is that these bots and these conversational tools were introduced to us by tech companies who also introduced to us the very technologies that have perpetuated isolation and catalyzed the loneliness epidemic in the first place. So we were given social media platforms. And while social media is wonderful in some ways, we also know it's very consequential and has negative impacts, especially for youth. And there's a whole slew of data out there that shows that social media is inherently isolating. So if that is the case, now these same people who manufactured this isolation are saying, here's this opportunity for you to feel less isolated by telling your deepest, darkest emotions and feelings and fears and desires to a little bot that stores your data and does who knows what with it. Okay, so on a lighter note, and kind of tying this to something relevant to my life right now, I am presenting a project at something called Demo Fest in 2 weeks, and it is at a giant conference called DevLearn. So I have built an immersive experience that is centered around AI ethics and confronts users with moral dilemmas ranging from AI interventions in triage care, like in medical environments, and then like surveillance capitalism and how our data is tracked and compiled and used to influence and persuade our decision making. And lastly, there's also a piece about AI use in warfare. So my mind has been racing. People talk about AI so much right now. And they talk about it so much in the context of this very narrow area. They're talking specifically about like generative conversational AI. And I'm not an AI expert, so like there is so much that I don't know and don't understand that I'd like to learn. But I will say that AI is not just ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini and Copilot, right? And I know that those are the tools that are being leveraged and talked about and marketed right now. So we often overlook these other uses of AI. But I just want to remind you that there are companies out there who are using AI to develop and manufacture extremely terrifying weapons. And, you know, with this new tool Sora that came out as well, we're seeing an increase in deepfakes online, which is causing a whole other slew of problems. And these tend to mostly impact young people and women, which unfortunately comes as no surprise. So I just think it's important that we address how AI really permeates through our culture and our society in these larger ways, and that it's not just a matter of asking a chatbot to clean up an essay you had to write for class. And in fact, AI is going to continue to impact every single part of our lives. Just some interesting things to throw out there. Ben Jordan recently did a video on flock surveillance. And that was really eye-opening and interesting, and I highly recommend looking into that. I've also just been thinking a lot about smart cities, the Meta Ray-Bans, like all of these different applications of AI that will ultimately make our lives more challenging. Perhaps there is a hollow promise of convenience, but how much convenience do we actually desire? It's just a lot, you know, there's so much to talk about, you know, like I was doing some research on Andurill's eagle eye. I'm like, that's crazy and terrifying. And at the same time has the potential to be really useful in defense situations where like we need it. But then you look at technology like Sora, and I just don't understand why we would want platforms that are entirely AI slop. I just don't get it. I actually do have a question, and I would love some of your thoughts on this because I am a learning experience designer. Like that's what I do for work. And oftentimes we use AI tools to build courses and develop training and immersive experiences and things like that. And something that stands out to me a lot is that I personally hate AI voices. I hate the sound of a robotic, trained LLM regurgitating some corporate bullshit back to me. Like, I think it is so infuriating and dehumanizing and frustrating because there are so many of us out here with voices and opinions and thoughts and feelings, and it's all reduced to this like slop online. So my question is, I want to start compiling more information about people's perceptions of AI and its application in things that they like interface with in their day-to-day lives. So if you have opinions about things like AI voiceovers, like AI narrations, or when you get like an email from a company and it's clearly written by AI because it's formulaic, and it's not just the M dashes that I'm talking about. It's that very formulaic pattern of speech is something that I've been picking up all around me. And unfortunately, it's because everyone is just, deferring to ChatGPT to determine whether or not their writing is sufficient, which I find to be very upsetting. I hope that there is a clear thread between everything that I'm sort of processing here in real time. I've just had a lot of thoughts in my brain just stewing, and I've been so busy and I have not had the time to really sit down and kind of process these things out loud. If you are here watching this video, there is a very good chance that you prefer to hear people's ideas about things that relate to people. And you don't just want to hear regurgitations of some AI bullshit, that lacks any sort of like human character or authenticity. So I just want to remind you that it is a weird time we're living in. It's easy to defer to ChatGPT, for example, when writing, to make sure our language makes sense and make sure our thoughts are coherent. It's easy to defer to AI because we're embarrassed to use our own voices, and it's easier to generate a narration with a tool online, and so on and so forth, right? We could talk about all these different examples, but my message here is that your humanness is so critical. It is so important. It's beautiful. It's powerful. It is what connects you to other human beings on this earth. It is the salve to our isolation. And if you continue to just outsource that to robots that are owned by rich dudes, like we're going to be cooked. And I don't want us to be cooked. I just want to encourage you to share your thoughts and your feelings and your opinions, write in your own voice, speak in your own voice, and like go talk to a human. Go talk to a human, It's okay. You can get offline for a little while, go touch some grass, talk to a person, read a book. And if you want to be online, maybe what you should do is you should go read about 1X's Neo, humanoid robot, so you can have nightmares. And you can go read about Andurill's Eagle Eye technology, which is being funded by Meta. You can go read about flock surveillance and ICE. Have a blast. It's great. It's a great time out there. There is plenty of nightmare fuel, and I think it's important that if you're going to be online and you're going to be engaging with all this shit, that you're at least aware of the fact that AI goes so much further than ChatGPT, and it will continue to go further. I should probably go now. Thank you for listening to my therapy session, and have a good day.